Last week we had a discussion, started a discussion about the city of Jerusalem, and we're using some really interesting new technology that we're able to bring you literally into the city and give you a sort of a hands-on feel for what that's like. But I thought that it did deserve some sort of explanation. So, first of all, the city of Jerusalem, it's been said by various scholars that estimates demonstrate that somewhere around two-thirds of biblical events described in the Bible, are happening somewhere in or around the city of Jerusalem. Ezekiel the prophet uh, describes Jerusalem in a really interesting way. He describes it as being like the navel of the universe, that Jerusalem is where God and his creation connect together like an umbilical cord. The rabbis described Jerusalem as being so important that the center of Jerusalem is a rock that was God's first creation. And the rock was the same rock on Mount Moriah that Abraham was to sacrifice Isaac, which then in turn, that same rock became the foundation stone for the temple and the place where the Ark of the Covenant was put eventually after in the days of Solomon and afterward. Um, the city of Jerusalem was our home in 1982 and 1983, and so it wasn't like I was trying to make last week or this week, for this matter, about us. But what I'm trying to do is wed a couple of things. We're in the mode of ramping up to Thanksgiving, and we want as a family, we want to be giving thanks. In everything, give thanks because this is God's will concerning you. But we want you to also join in that giving of thanks and all of the things that come out of that holy city. This is the place where God chose to express his dwelling presence, the place where the Lord your God shall choose. This is the place where all these events happen. This is where we lived, and we wanted you to get a unique perspective on Jerusalem. And in the future, we'll be doing other episodes and other really kind of crucial or key places in the land of Israel. And we want to bring it to you in a way that will evoke thanksgiving in you. We're wanting you to see it through our eyes, and we're wanting you to see it through your own eyes, which is part of the reason why we're using the visuals that we're using. Everything that we do in Faith Builders is designed to bring you steps closer to the biblical world, closer to the realities that the original speakers or participants or characters, whatever, in the stories, what they were experiencing, to give you an insider view, perspective on the world of the Bible and everything that the biblical authors take for granted. And so that's kind of a big kind of big picture thing of what we're trying to do. It's not about us. It's not really even about you, but it is about us connecting to the world of the Bible, and thus connecting to the Bible and its message, the way that the way it expresses itself uh, in real time, in real life, on a real playing board. Again, just imagine trying to play Monopoly without the board. That's what we've been doing for hundreds of years as Westerners, reading the Bible without a whole lot of intentional pursuit of like geographical or topographical context. So when we're able to take those additional steps closer to the world of the Bible, then we have an opportunity to be impacted more deeply by its message. and we get to experience and enjoy the depth and richness of God's word in that way. And so today, yeah, we're going to go back to Jerusalem yet again. It was just impossible to fit all of the beauty and richness of that one city, one biblical city, into one session. So I'm hoping that part of what we do today will be a little bit of review, but that you'll get an opportunity to see even some new locations as we look at Jerusalem from different perspectives around the city, northeast, southwest, etc. We're going to push the envelope on this, and we're going to follow this two-part series on Jerusalem up with some future videos that will focus on some other area of the land of Israel that's a nexus for lots and lots of biblical events. So enjoy this second trip to Jerusalem. Put yourself into the place and into the story, and then look for us in future times as we study the word together to visit other places, Sea of Galilee, Jezreel Valley, etc., that have just tons and tons of biblical events associated with them. In the meantime, God bless you guys. Keep an attitude in the midst of, social problems and pandemic stuff and quarantine and not being able to meet together physically, publicly together. Find something in all of this to be thankful for, and continue that heart of thanksgiving that God said, in everything give thanks, because this is God's will concerning you. And God bless you in the coming week. So let's finish out these clips. In this next clip, we are looking at Jerusalem from the south now. And you're looking across the Kidron Valley here. The Mount of Olives is now on our right shoulder. Across the Kidron Valley to the Temple Mount. You remember our compass, right? And then right below the Temple Mount is a series of archaeological excavations. Some of these are steps leading up into subterranean tunnels or passageways that end up placing you on the Temple Mount itself from the time of Jesus. These steps were steps that Jesus himself walked on. These are steps that the disciples, the apostles, walked on. Jesus actually taught on these steps. They're actually sometimes called the teaching steps. Other rabbis like Paul's rabbi, Gamaliel, would dictate letters to various communities through the land of Israel to Yochanan the scribe, sitting on these very steps. This is an incredible location to visit, to discuss the dynamics of the day of Pentecost in Acts chapter 2, or the events of Jesus and his earthly ministry. When he's leaving the temple, he's on these steps in Mark 13 when his disciples say, "Lord, look at what huge stones, look at what wonderful buildings." And it's here that Jesus says, not one stone will be left upon another. That happens here. See, our Bible is not a Bible that consists of stories and fairy tales and make-believe. There are some religious traditions that's exactly the nature of their holy scriptures. Not so with the Bible. The Bible is very much grounded and rooted in time and space. And when you study there, all these things begin to click. It's a beautiful thing to watch take place as we travel and study together in this place that the Lord our God will choose. Again, the Kidron Valley, now the Mount of Olives is opening up for us with this gigantic graveyard. The cemetery is still operating. It's the oldest operating cemetery in the world. It actually goes back to the early Bronze Age. We're now on the backside of the Mount of Olives. This is the Intercontinental Hotel right here, where the PLO got its beginning in February of 1964.
Now we're seeing the eastern wall of Jerusalem, and for those who have really good eyes, you can see a gate right here. This is what we call in Christianity the Golden Gate. It will be called other things by other communities, the Shushan Gate, the Gates of Mercy. The Eastern Gate is what Ezekiel calls it. And so this is an interesting place for discussion when we're studying on the Temple Mount or from below at the Garden of Gethsemane. Again, the upper city, this is called the second quarter in the book of 2 Kings. This is where, according to the writer of 2 Kings, this is where Huldah the prophet lived, in the second quarter of Jerusalem, this area being walled by King Hezekiah. Again, we see at the top, we see that way of the patriarchs, and just a beautiful view of the old city of Jerusalem with the Temple Mount as its centerpiece and the Dome of the Rock right in the middle of it. Over to the north, the pools of Bethesda just outside the Temple Mount. Finally, we're going to take one last look at the southern part of Jerusalem, and I'll point out a few more points of interest as we view the video. Here again, we have the southern steps, the teaching steps. We have the city of David that I'm outlining with our cursor right here. We have the pool of Siloam right here, and then where the Hinnom and the Kidron valleys that sort of form the western and eastern edges of Jerusalem help give it natural defenses, where those come together right there at the pool of Siloam. This is a more modern wall. It was built by the Islamic Suleiman, ruler Suleiman the Magnificent, from 1537 to 1541. And then we come up on the Dormition Abbey. According to Roman Catholic tradition, this is where Mary fell asleep, never died, and was taken up into heaven in the same way that Enoch was and Elijah was in the Hebrew Bible. Okay, here's that Roman Catholic cemetery, the burial place of Oskar Schindler. And on this very edge, we have again Jerusalem University College. This is the Hinnom Valley on the western side of Jerusalem now. So I think that hopefully you've gotten a little bit of a taste for some important events as well as locations, and joining those, combining the two together. As they say, a picture paints 1,000 words, and I'm hoping that as we begin to integrate more and more maps and videos and the like into our video presentations, that you will be impacted with the reality of the biblical world, that it will demystify, that it'll give you perspective and context, and that a picture will indeed paint 1,000 words for you. We're going to go to the next video, and I'm going to set this up for you before we put the video in motion. Here you see a very large group of people gathered together. Obviously, this is pre-COVID, right? And so this is a gathering of Jewish believers, and the wall at the very back, at the back in the background of this video, is the Western Wall. The Western Wall is the western edge of the Temple Mount. It is a location that is revered as being the closest to the Holy of Holies by Jews today. And so because of that, it's a place of congregation for bar mitzvahs, for other celebrations, for worship. And here, the celebration taking place is the Feast of Sukkot, the festival of the Festival of Tabernacles. And so you can see in the crowd that there are these little green, they look like rods little green branches that people are carrying. This is the Lulav that is required in the law of Moses. It's a ceremony of the shaking to the north, south, east, and west that's still done today. And in this video, as compared to the others, you'll get audio. The audio will be of various rabbis who, over a public address system, will be leading this community, this gathering of people from literally all over the world coming to celebrate one of the three major festivals together. And you'll hear prayers being prayed in Hebrew from the prayer book. You'll be able to see individuals who are obviously with either hands raised or moving in this direction, praying, and will be holding a prayer book. Some will have their head covered with what is called in Hebrew the talit, or what we call in English usually the prayer shawl. You'll see various types of Jews, with some Orthodox, some conservative, some ultra-Orthodox, some that are dressed in, as this guy in the foreground, in very modern clothing. So you'll see the full spectrum of the Jewish experience, and I wanted to encapsulate that and just give you a little feel for what goes on at a major festival and at a very important location, the Western Wall in Jerusalem. That is the western part of the western retaining wall of that box, the Temple Mount that we looked at in the other videos. So let's listen and watch. In this last little time that we spend together, I want to share with you along the lines of what I received from the society, from the community, from the Jewish people when I lived in Israel, and still when I go back to study, to write, to instruct groups, or to give lectures, to train guides and the like. When we moved to Israel, we lived out in the city. We didn't live in the compound of Jerusalem University College. We lived out in the new part of Jerusalem, that area of Emek Rephaim, southern Jerusalem. The community is called Katamon, and our neighbors literally took us in. We were the subject of conversation because we were the only non-Jewish people living anywhere for miles. And they would literally fight over almost who would get to have us over for a Shabbat meal, or for a Passover celebration, for a Hanukkah celebration. They would invite us to the bar mitzvahs of their children and to walk with them on Friday evening, to go to, or Saturday morning, to go to a Shabbat service at their local synagogue. The academic community embraced us and took us in. When we left, none of our eyes were dry. We were crying. Our neighbors were crying. We didn't want to come back when we moved back to the United States. But it was time for a new program to begin. We were literally totally out of money, with the exception of about $150 that we had in cash in our pocket. And it was God's time, but it didn't mean that it was easy. We had yoked together with these people in life. We experienced the death of family members there, their family members, and the need to comfort and to babysit their children and those kinds of things. We had friends that our little boy had made, and they played together outside, and they played together at the park. We became one with this community. And as I said before, the land of Israel gives far more than it ever takes. These people gave to me more than I could ever give back, more than I could ever thank them for, but I do give thanks for this people living in this land as an experiment, yes, but also as a fulfillment of an ancient promise. I am going to bring my people back. I'm going to restore them. Judah will be my portion, and my dwelling place will be Jerusalem. I will choose it yet again. He has done that. You can see in the background a ramp with people behind this wooden lattice that are going up onto the Temple Mount. People from all nations, people from all religious confessions, and they are streaming to this place that the Lord our God chose. I can promise you that to a person, they all leave giving thanks for that experience. Unique. There's no cruise that will do what this will do. There's no other vacation that will do what this will do for a walk with God, for an understanding of Scripture, or for this connection that we feel to the God of history, the God of a people, the God of a place. No longer myth and legend, no longer once upon a time, no longer in a land far, far away, but reality. 3D, hardcore, high-def resolution right in front of you every day, all day long, in multiple locations per day, every day. I think when I see these people, I think of all of my friends that are still there. Friends that we made when we lived in Israel, friends that we've made since then, folks that I work with on a regular basis, guides that I've had an opportunity to work with, or guides that I've had an opportunity to teach in these guides courses that we've been doing in the recent past. I think of those folks, and I think about the difficulties that they're experiencing because their industry, because no one's coming, no one's allowed, is completely shut down. If we think that we've had it difficult because maybe we've had to change apartments, or maybe we've had to change jobs or gotten laid off, these guys have not worked. These men and women who have poured themselves into group after group, who have studied, gone through school to become a guide, become certified, now have to put up with me, either as an instructor in guide school or as working with me on site. These guys are hurting. We've had the opportunity to share with a number of them, to help them out, not just morally, not just spiritually, not just in prayer, but the opportunity to give to them in their time of need. If the Lord would move on your heart, this would be a great way to return thanks to God for being so abundant toward you. But I just want to take a moment to thank them. Guys, guides, I want to thank you for everything that you've ever done for me. I thank you for the way that you've poured into my life. I thank you for the way you've opened up your home to me. I thank you for the privilege of meeting your either husband or wife, meeting your children. I'm so blessed. My life is so enriched by what you have poured into me. And for you, I give thanks to this God of Israel, this God of the Bible, this God of His people. I'm just so blessed, so privileged to have met you, walked with you, studied and worked with you, sometimes spent nights in hospitals with you, or helping people who were bus sick, helping them right alongside you. You have been amazing co-laborers with me as we have done everything that we could do up to the point of COVID, done everything that we could do to dispatch, to fulfill this call that we feel on our lives to do what we do. And I look forward again to better days when Israel opens back up, people begin to go again, and you are able to more effectively provide for your families. To that end, I promise that I'll continue to pray for you, pray for a solution to this problem, and I also promise to help out where I can financially. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. This is Adapam Abaa Anachim. Bless you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you are and for everything that you do. Guys, I thank God for the community, the Jewish community that I became a part of and that I learned, received so much from. I hope that as we've gone through these 5 videos, that you've learned a whole bunch about your Bible, because there's a lot that happened right around Jerusalem. I also hope that you have learned a lot about connecting event to location, and we saw quite a bit of that. I hope that the pictures have painted 1,000 words and more for you and enabled you to better understand, given you a better perspective on your Bible, distances and locations and that sort of thing. And I really hope that what we have done today has been a reason for you to give thanks for God, to give thanks for His Word, to give thanks for His land, to give thanks for His people. God bless you richly as you walk out a life of thanksgiving, filled with the giving of thanks to a God who is abundant, who is a loving, merciful, forgiving, and giving God. God bless you richly. Walk in that fullness in this coming week as you represent Him.